At this point, what I am seeing is almost every tech company or a product is trying to embed AI in some form or the other into their system. And it's just the starting point. It's basically, we had this kind of a thing, let's say back in 2020, 2021 as well. But at that point, the awareness was not that much. People didn't trust AI that much. People still don't trust AI, but they still trust it and try to use that more than what they used to do before. There's a lot of adoption happening for AI. Customers now know that it's not like a thing to be scared of. However much you can use it to your advantage to increase your own productivity, the more it will benefit you and your business there. So I think that is where AI is at right now. It's at that stage where it's very good at helping out with those specific tasks in a very good way, and helps reduce a lot of the manual repetitive work.
Thank you so much for clicking on this episode of The Millennial Entrepreneur. The ambition of the podcast is to show relatable stories from young entrepreneurs doing some incredible things to inspire the next generation, including you listening wherever you are. We've been doing this podcast for over 3 years and the ambition has not changed. The only thing that has changed is the scale of where we want to go. We want to bring on bigger guests for you guys to show more and more relatable and inspiring stories from young entrepreneurs across the world. The majority of you guys listening haven't subscribed to the podcast yet. All you have to do is click that subscribe button wherever you're listening on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and that will allow us to bring on bigger guests and ask the questions to them that you really want to hear. And it really is that simple. So thank you again for clicking on the podcast and enjoy the episode. Hey Sam, how are you?
Hey Sina, doing great. How are you?
Yeah, lovely to meet you as well. It's amazing having you on the podcast because I am a long-term user of Writesonic. So I've been using it for a long time. And it's a tool that I absolutely love using. And this isn't me sort of like trying to advertise you. I genuinely have been using the platform for a while. Like even so, if anyone knows me and knows the business that I have, so my business Wing, if you go on our website, our chatbots is actually powered by Writesonic. So yeah,
Oh,
we actually do
awesome.
use it
That's great to
in
hear.
our business day to day.
I really appreciate that. That's great to hear. That's some good validation out there.
I would love to talk to you in terms of like, so Writesonic, and then we'll go on to the whole topic of AI. And I know a lot of people listening to this podcast really want to focus on what opportunities exist in the AI space that they can capitalize on, and also sort of like best practices that you've seen, because growing your business on the foundational layer of other AI tools, I think it'd be very interesting to talk about. So let's talk about, I guess, the history of Writesonic first. So like, what is it? And then where did the idea originate?
So, Writesonic, we sort of started out as an AI writing platform. Since then, where we are at right now, we are sort of calling it the AI engagement platform. So, three or four main things that we are working on. So, one is, of course, the unified content creation piece, where you can produce text-based content like blogs, emails, all of that. You can produce images, videos, slides. So, all of that using AI. Second thing is then chatbots. So we have this thing called ChatSonic, which it's known as one of the best alternatives of ChatGPT. So that is the other thing. And then third thing we have is a recent product called BotSonic, where you can sort of create uh, AI powered chatbots, which are powered by GPT models in a no code way and embed it on your site. So that is where we are at right now. Now, how we started out was basically, so I have been a sort of fanatic, building lots of different side projects. So like, when I was in college, when I was, working for about 1.5 years at Deloitte in London as well. So I used to build a bunch of different side projects. All of these were different sort of SaaS applications. Now, me not being a marketer, I didn't have any experience with marketing, right? So for some of my other side projects, I wanted to create landing pages for them, because that's one thing you need to kind of get some visibility online to launch on Product Hunt, Twitter, all of these platforms, right? So that was the idea there. So I think I was the first 100 beta users of GPT-3 back in 2020. So at that time, I was experimenting with a bunch of different, projects. So the idea came in like, okay, why don't I train an AI model on the best landing pages from top brands like Apple and Stripe and all of these kind of companies, and get it to do that work for me. So that was sort of like the starting point. So we just built like an AI landing page generator, put like a pricing page on top of that, and launched it on Product Hunt. And that is how we sort of started out. And then after that, based on customer feedback, of course, we kept on evolving. We got into Y Combinator and a bunch of different things. But that's kind of the origin story, if I were to say.
And then at what stage did it sort of like pivot to what it is right now?
So I think within the first sort of 2 months itself, we were at about $15,000 in MRR, monthly recurring revenue. And that's when, just based on customer feedback, we kind of kept on adding different things. So one of our flagship products is our AI article writer, which lets you produce like like a full draft article or a blog post within 1 minute. So that's been one of our flagship products. So that is something we launched in like month two, and that is when the game really changed. A lot of companies coming in, lots of individuals, freelancers, customers coming in. And then it was more like a iterative cycle where every week we used to push something out based on what customers were asking for. And that's how we kind of kept on building and improving and pivoting, sort of like that.
So I guess like a step before that though. So how did you get to 15,000 MRR with like because you said the marketing wasn't your specialty. So ironically, you built a product that sort of made the whole like building marketing materials uh easier. But like, how did you get to that stage where you were generating 15,000 MRR?
I think it was a bunch of different things. Basically, launched on a bunch of different platforms. So first of all, I think Product Hunt and Twitter um, got us some of that initial visibility for sure. The next thing that we did was, every week I used to get on calls with a bunch of different customers or potential customers there. So used to talk to them, understand their pain points. And then after that, a lot of sort of word of mouth we sort of got in. So basically I partnered with some influencers on Twitter, and then some of them on sort of TikTok. And also used to send out a lot of emails there. So I was just trying a bunch of different random things, right? I never built a startup before. I've built lots of products, but I was just trying out different things. And that's like a couple of them in combination, they sort of worked out and got us to that level. And then right after that, 15,000 MRR mark, we got into Y Combinator as well. And it was pretty easy for us because um especially with Y Combinator, 90 or 99% of the founders are not solo founders. They're usually, they have co-founders, and most of them don't have any revenue. So that was sort of one advantage for us. I think we were one of the first generative AI companies to get into Y Combinator. This was back in summer 2021. And yeah, that's like that 3-month program kind of taught me a lot about sales, how to talk to customers, and a lot of different things. And then just, yeah, kept on learning, kept on improving, and that's how we sort of came to where we are at the moment.
So like those different growth strategies that you had, I guess which one of them sort of generated the most growth, or which two?
If I were to look in the last 2.5 years, I would say one would be SEO. SEO has been like a big piece for us, and we have in fact used our own tool for that as well. But as you know, SEO is a long term game. So until, let's say, mid of last year, we didn't see much impact in terms of SEO. But now, if you go to a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush and check in the last maybe 7 or 8 months, our SEO kind of like skyrocketed. So we went to like, huge amounts of sort of traffic there. We get like a million signups every month now. And so SEO was like a very big piece. Second thing I would say would be probably affiliate marketing, because we have these partners who work with us, who sort of create posts on their blogs or create YouTube videos, and then embed our kind of affiliate link. They get like 30% recurring commission on top of that. And for us, we are getting new customers there. So I think affiliate and SEO, those two probably would be the biggest channels, I would say. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So landing page product to the article writing product, and then I guess where's like what was the sort of vision at that point? Because you had like that flagship product, but you were building more and more.
Right.
It's like what was the vision in those early stages?
I think the vision at that point was to make writing and communication as easy as possible, so that even customers from non-English speaking countries uh, sort of can also benefit from that. Because especially, let's say, if you're writing any blogs or any kind of content that you're doing, it's sort of hard for non-English speakers specifically to sort of do the same level of content or same level of marketing there. So I think that was the initial idea, to basically, for non-native English speakers, to get them to a similar level as English ones, and for the English kind of native speakers to get them at even a better level, where they're writing much more optimized, like conversion optimized, SEO optimized, content, and it makes the overall sort of communication much easier. I think that was that initial focus. Since then, we have sort of delved into multiple different things. So we do a lot of different experiments, and we are sort of expanding and diversifying our product portfolio.
I'd love to get your take on this because you was it so originally you built on top of
Right.
OpenAI's so ChatGPT for people who don't know,
Mhm.
like that was the software that you built on top of, right?
ChatGPT is sort of just a name of the kind of that application, but beneath that, the model. So we built a lot of it on top of GPT 3.0, which was sort of one iteration before ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is based on top of, everyone knows sort of GPT 3.5 and GPT 4. So for us, a lot of it was based on GPT-3, and then GPT 3.5 and 4. But since then, especially in the last maybe 6 months, we have built like this model router kind of thing, which is where essentially, based on different factors, our system automatically switches between different AI models. So for example, it can be OpenAI, it can be Anthropic, can be Google's Palm API, and our own custom models as well. So depending on the latency of the API, the quality of the results, a bunch of different factors, it automatically chooses between these different models. Yeah.
And what do you make of the whole state of AI right now in the world? Like when it comes to obviously we'll talk about the opportunities that exist, but like your personal take on it because it's moving incredibly fast.
At this point, what I am seeing is almost every company, like a tech company or a product, is trying to embed AI in some form or the other into their system. And it's just the starting point. It's basically, we had this kind of a thing, let's say back in sort of 2020, 2021 as well. But at that point, the awareness was not that much. People didn't trust AI that much. People still don't trust AI, but they still trust it and try to use that like more than what they used to do before. So there's a lot of adoption happening for AI. Customers now know that it's not like a thing to be scared of. It's basically, however much you can use it to your advantage to increase your own productivity, the more it will benefit you and your business there. So I think that is where AI is at right now. It's at that stage where it's very good at helping out with those specific tasks in a very good way, and helps reduce a lot of the manual repetitive work. So a lot of productive use cases coming out from almost every tech company right now, trying to embed GPT or AI models in some way or the other.
And then for people that, especially young people listening to the podcast, like they see the state of AI, they see it in the news a lot, they see all these products springing up. I guess like for them, like what are the opportunities that exist right now?
I think there's a whole lot of opportunities now, because you don't even need to know that much sort of programming to get into this whole, building a product around AI. Almost everything is available as an API through OpenAI or all of these different kind of companies. So it's more about identifying a pain point that you're seeing, your potential customers facing or you yourself facing. It's basically identifying a pain point and then using AI. If AI can help with that, then using AI to sort of solve that. It's not the other way around where you're just trying to use AI to solve a problem that doesn't even exist.
That's what I've seen is like, so yes, it's become easier than ever to launch an AI company, which has led to a lot of companies springing up that are solving a problem that doesn't actually exist. And
Right.
like they are getting traction to a certain degree because initial traction, just because they have AI as a buzzword within their business. But in order for like long term usage, like they haven't really stuck
Exactly.
around. So I guess the advice that you're giving is the same with any business that you should start is like look at the problems that exist and how can we solve that. And AI is a tool at the end of the day to solve that
Exactly.
problem.
No, absolutely. So AI is just a tool, just a technology. How you use it is what sort of matters. If you're using to solve it something which is not solvable without AI, then of course it's a great thing to have. But if you're trying to solve something where even like let's say some basic thing can help you out, like a simple script can help you out, then that's basically just over engineering that problem, right?
And I guess I know we already kind of talked about it, but how easy is it right now to actually launch an AI company?
So it's easy to build out a product right now. It's still as hard as it was before to build a company. So it's basically you can build a product within 2 3 days, if you have development skills, or you can use those no code AI tools to kind of build things out. But it's also about a lot of other aspects, like how do you kind of position it, how do you market it, like are you talking to your customers and learning from them. So it's a bunch of different factors and criterias that come into place when building a company or a business, as compared to just launching like a side project or a product, right? So if you can nail all of those things, if you talk to your customers, are kind of actually marketing it, in doing sales, all of the different aspects, then yeah, of course, it's sort of like a hustle for sure. So it's not as easy as you just launch something and it blows up and you're making like hundreds of millions in ARR there. It's a lot of hard work that will need to be put in there. Of course, the technology usage of the technology is much easier now, so you can kind of spin up things quickly. But yeah, as you kind of grow forward, you'll also need to go deep and build out your own custom model. So
But I guess for people listening who, so say if a problem does exist and the AI is the tool to solve it through whatever means, how can they sort of experiment with it? So like build an AI based MVP to actually experiment with it. Because I know you come from a coding background, so you can do that. But like now you've seen the world becoming a lot easier to actually launch an
right.
AI product. So yeah, how would you actually do that? And what would this be the steps that you can undertake?
I think there are a lot of different no code tools in the market right now, like Bubble and all of these different ones, where they already come with integrations with platforms like OpenAI. So all you need to do is basically drag and drop certain components, connect the AI piece, write your prompt inside that, and then you have your mobile app or your web app sort of ready. And that's just the MVP. Not sure it would scale up to like a big user base, but I think that's a good starting point. And then next thing is, I think the simplest thing I personally see with launching a new product is you launch it on Product Hunt or Twitter, a couple of these different platforms. So that gives you that initial traction. And second thing, of course, is the distribution as well. So if you have a prior audience or network where you can sort of um, sell it or promote it, then that of course helps. Otherwise, sometimes even the product and launches can sort of go the other way around, where
Mm.
it gets stuck in the newest list and doesn't even come to the top. So I think it's quite easy, but requires thinking about distribution and a couple of different aspects there for sure.
Mm, mm. Yeah, there's obviously like Bubble, but there's also things around like automation tools that you can build with Zapier
Right.
and things like that. There's a lot of different variations before you actually like launch your own thing, right? So yeah, it's
Absolutely.
it's become a lot easier. It's democratized. So and like your tool as well, right? Sonic is a part of that process, I would say.
Right. So I think we sort of started out as like a very simple MVP. We didn't use no code tools because I used to code, so I just build things. Um, so that's what we started out with, and then of course in the next few years or months, we sort of hired specialist or like senior developers, and improved our architecture, improved our systems there. So it's much more scalable, and now we also have our own custom AI models. We are not just reliant on open AI, of course. So yeah, it's sort of like a cycle. You start with something and then you keep on iteratively improving it based on your needs and customers demands.
The thing is, with tools like AI, like the thing that really strikes me is that traditional businesses, with when I say traditional, I mean say like physical products and
Yeah.
things like that. As they grow, their sort of like variable costs also grow, and like
Yeah.
they have economies of this scale as well. Like that does come into play with things like AI. It only gets better, and the costs only gets lower, and so
Right.
you get a real sort of upward trend, and that's what's really exciting for me with this whole industry is that yes, you can spring up tools because they become easier, and they will only get easier as time goes on. So I guess for you guys, being you're still a very early player in the market, where do you see the future of AI business use case going forward?
I can't predict, of course, next couple of years because things change quite fast. Something that you would have predicted to happen in 2 years is happening in like 2 weeks. So what I'll tell is, what we are hearing from our customers there. So one thing for sure would be multimodality, where the same model is able to kind of work with text and images and videos and audios and all of these different media kind of types and formats. I think that is one thing. Part of it we have sort of built like a hacky multi-model thing into our ChatSonic, into our products as well. The second thing I think, especially from a B2B or a brand perspective, is, I think we were discussing just before this was, with something like chat gpt, of course you can produce content, you can do things on top of that, but a lot of it is very generic, where if someone else does it, there's a high probability that you'll get a similar response, and it's the same writing style. It doesn't kind of differentiate the writing style. So that is something that doesn't really work in terms of an actual, let's say, production level content, if you're using it for marketing or for any of those actual use cases. So that is where, for brands, one thing that will come into play is hyper personalization, where their own previous content, their own writing style, their terminology. Every brand has certain kinds of terms, their style guides. Those are used to produce new forms of content so that the AI can mimic their own unique writing style and terms and brand voice and all of those things. Second thing is then sort of document aware generation, where, with ChatGPT, if you're producing something, a lot of the times it will give you non-factual information, it tends to hallucinate. So for example, if you go and ask who won the FIFA World Cup 2022, it will give you some random answer there, which will not be true there. So
I've seen that. Yeah.
exactly. So it's basically kind of two things there. One is, how do you connect with real time information from, let's say if you want to write something which happened yesterday. So how do you incorporate that real time information into the mix? And second thing also is, every brand, every company has tons of data that they have collected over the last few years, right? Everyone has been collecting the big data, as they sort of call it. So how can you leverage that data to produce new content or new information, which is much more factual and sort of comes from like a verified source, which is basically that company's own data sources. So I think those two things are what we are working on. Some of these things we already have in Writesonic, but these are the things that we are working towards, and these will improve as the AI models improve going forward, for sure.
And like the thing is, when you speak about new products and new technology, traditionally you say like, yeah, in a year's time, but this would be far faster.
Much faster, yeah. Couple of weeks, couple of months, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so I think like, the limiting factor is like when you can actually deploy it and stuff like that, because yeah, the
Right.
technology can move incredibly fast.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Well, you talked about the vision for RightSonic going into the future and the future of AI. So yeah, we're going to wrap it up there. But Sam, I loved having you on the podcast. It was such a pleasure having you on and talking about RightSonic. How can people stay in touch with you and what you're up to?
Thanks a lot, Sina. It was great to connect as well. Learned a lot from you as well. So very glad to be on this podcast. And yeah, thanks for having me. You can kind of reach out to us on writesonic.com, and take advantage of our AI content creation tools, or build your own custom sort of chatbots powered by GPT models. So yeah, but thanks a lot for having me once again, Sina. Really appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Chat to you soon.